Hello everyone, my patrons. Thank you very much for supporting my work. I really appreciate it. The date is the 27th of July 2021 and it's 20:49 p.m. in Amsterdam time. I hope you all got those buy orders today that I sent out earlier today. We bought a little bit more today, just a bit. And look, I'm fairly bullish this crypto market, providing it stays above certain levels. Bitcoin particularly, provided it stays above 34,500. It's currently at 37,892 and it's down 4% as we speak. Now, next week for non-Patreon members, I'm going to introduce a $5 Patreon only for the podcasts, okay? The daily podcasts I do, which basically it'll be in August, the start of August, $5 a month, which is less than like 16 cents a day or something. It takes me about anything from 2 to 5 hours to put this together for all the fiat markets as well as the news on crypto markets. So I'd really appreciate if you support my work for the podcast, people that don't pay for it. It's not a lot of money. It's $5 a month. I've kept it as low as possible, keeping in mind that, I'm working for literally 16 cents for 5 hours, okay? So, crikey, if you're not prepared to support me on that, it's got to be pretty miserable, people, seriously, in the public there. So I want your support because, honestly, if we don't get support, we do all this work for nothing. And, I've got years of experience in markets. Look on LinkedIn, look at my experience. I've been in all markets for nearly 40 years, so I don't need to say really much more than that. So that'll start next week, start of August, $5 just for the podcast. You won't get anything else. Other clients, obviously, that pay higher tiers get a lot more, like heaps more. They get all sorts of things in a day, right? And you won't get access to Discord either. So I'm sorry about that, but, for $5 a month, you can appreciate it. That's US dollars, by the way. So if you're in Europe or somewhere else, it's going to even cost you less. So just want some support, people. So let's go through the data today. For crypto markets, 1.502 trill, volume is 73.934 bill, liquidity is up at 4.074, and Bitcoin dominance is 47.34%, outperforming Ethereum, which I hate, okay? Ethereum to me is just going to bleed and bleed, right? Now these figures are up, which is good. Volume's up a lot. The fear index is still, the fear and greed index for crypto is still at an extreme at 10, but volume's gone from 33 billion last week to 73 billion. So it's nice to see the volumes coming up. The fear index, we're buying in fear. I'd rather be buying in fear than bullish 100, okay? Because it means the market is overbought. Just one of the indicators I look at. I look at many, many different indicators, okay? So let's go through, let's look at Messari. And again, people, I have to pay for all these services. Messari costs me 40, I think it's 40 US a month. And don't forget I'm an Australian, so that's going to cost me more in Aussie dollars, right? All these services you have to pay for now. Everything you go into, whether it's Bloomberg, whether it's live, whatever, they're asking for money now, right? Nothing's free anymore. So I don't think $5 a month is a lot to ask people, seriously. And that's why I went off off YouTube, okay? You give out all this fantastic educational information and experience in markets, and all you do is get, horrible critical people, okay? And I'm just, I won't do that, all right? I've worked too hard and for too long. I'm nearly 60, give me a break. So let's go to Messari. Let's look at the real volume that was done for 24 hours, according to Messari. Tether was 25.68 bill, Bitcoin 11.41 bill, Ethereum 7.88 bill, Binance US 5.51 bill, Axie 2.39 bill, USDC 2.10 bill. What else we got there? Dodge 1.17 bill, Polygon 1.07 bill, Binance 1.044 bill, Ethereum 1.03 bill, and XRP is 766 mil. Quite a lot of volume going through the market. Now don't forget XRP, Ripple versus the SEC today. The hearing is with William Hinman, the corporate advisor director for the SEC, who made that statement in 2018 about Bitcoin and Ethereum, not being securities, right? So that's coming to the market today. I haven't heard anything yet. but you know, it might be 3 o'clock in the afternoon US time. Currently it's about 11:54 a.m. So, you know, we need to really listen to that with bated breath, people, because if that's a good story for Ripple, it's going to be a case precedent for cryptocurrency, okay? Case precedent. And basically, Ripple, you know, obviously Ripple's XRP should perform out of that. And we've been buying XRP too. I believe XRP down here is just a joke. It's so cheap. It is just an absolute joke, okay? Now, Amazon have denied the crypto rumor that they're coming into crypto. I don't believe that. In markets, generally, what we do in all markets, we buy the rumor and we sell the fact, okay? And that's what we do in all markets. That's what every market trader will say. It's a professional. We buy the rumor and we sell the facts. And look, this market went up not just because of Amazon. It went up because of all the short positions in the market. Still selling Bitcoin when it was down at 30,000 or whatever it was, or 33,000. And no one was long crypto, okay? So a short squeeze, the market had been down for 2.5 months. A short squeeze in my mind with everything I was looking at was highly on the cards, okay? Highly on the cards. So that was pretty obvious in my mind. If we look at Tesla, they're still holding 1.3 billion of Bitcoin. And Elon Musk also said that his other company, Space X, holds Bitcoin as well. So, I mean, that guy's a smart guy. He'll probably be buying more Bitcoin, I would say, than selling Bitcoin. Bitcoin to me down here is still extremely cheap. And don't forget, it did get to 64,800. And, you know, it could go there again this year with all the new institutions coming into Bitcoin. And coming into cryptocurrency markets, it's just a given as far as I'm concerned. When you look at all the Bitcoin companies and mining companies and everything else, they're all going into the equity market with an IPO, which is good because the equity market is so expensive. They're doing the right thing. They're selling their shares in the equity market as an initial public offering, IPO. And then they're going back into the crypto industry to use those funds to expand in the cryptocurrency industry, which is great for the industry, okay? Fantastic. And that's going to propel crypto even higher, specific crypto. And some specific crypto, like Bitcoin, for example, there's no supply of physical coin, okay? And many of the coins we invest in that have businesses, revenue, and clients, there's no supply of coin. So you can see what's going to happen here. To me, it's very, very obvious what's going to happen. Cryptocurrency is the fifth asset class, the newest asset class, and it's the cheapest asset class in the world. When you compare it to index bonds, when you compare it to hybrids, corporate credit, corporate bonds, credit spreads, when you compare it to high yield, the equity markets, the interest rate curve, or even property or anything else, okay? Cryptocurrency is very, very cheap, and certain hard commodities are very, very cheap, like gold and silver, for example, platinum, palladium, and so forth, okay? So let's just go through some more of the news here. So Swift apparently has done this SWIFTGO, and some people say they're a competitor to Ripple. They're not. They're not a competitor to Ripple. People don't have any idea about Swift. I do. I worked on Swift for years and years and years, right? Swift can only transfer money to the banks, okay? And Ripple is not a bank coin. Ripplenet itself, the technology, can transfer money to anyone and everyone. Doesn't matter who you are, whether you're on an exchange, whether you're an individual, whether you're not, whether you're a corporate, whether you're an old lady, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Swift can't do that. It has to go to the banks first, and the banks are limited, obviously, to who they can send money to because of all the regulatory environment. You know, AML, the Patriot Act, know your clients, where's the money coming from, is it terrorist money, and all that sort of stuff, okay? So they are not a competitor of Ripple, okay? And even the banks they've got, they're not great big banks. I mean, SocGen, UniCredit are reasonable. But, you know, my bank, look, you know, the thing is, they're just not a competitor. They use the old COBOL computer language. It's an old mainframe, and it's centralized. And Swift gets hacked a lot, okay? There was a Bangladesh bank that got hacked 600 million via Swift, okay? They got into the messaging system of Swift, which is what Swift is, and they were able to get rid of that. That money was actually stolen by hackers, right? and SWIFT has notoriously over the years not been secure. And we've seen that so many times in the banking industry, I can assure you. Now, Goldman Sachs applied to the SEC for a DeFi EFT, an exchange-traded fund, okay? So with an exchange-traded fund, they sell it to the retail client base, but they buy DeFi in it, right, which gets unitized. You're better off to buy DeFi yourself on the exchange yourself, even though we do not buy DeFi. I hate pure DeFi because it gets hacked. And the thing is, any exchange-traded fund is going to cost you fees, right? Anything from 2 to 5%. There could be lockup. There's going to be fees on getting in and getting out. It's for the retail element. And if you're a client of mine on Patreon, we do not buy that. We buy direct. You can control what you're doing. You can get out when you want, and there's no lockup on possible funds. If you see, external triggers in the market which cause chaos in the markets, like September 11, okay, things like that. So we also, Argentina Exchange Lemon raises another 16 million to expand in Latin America, okay. Now, those guys also had done another raising of 11 million, and behind that expansion was Draper Investments and Coinbase Investments. And you find a lot of the exchanges, right, are investing in other exchanges globally. And we've seen that with Binance. We've seen that, they're in Wazir. They're in other exchanges all over the world as well, okay? Binance is just a mega joint. It is pretty incredible. And, Binance, keeps buying and buying in certain exchanges and investing in certain exchanges. And they are just a mega. They make billions of dollars in revenue every quarter, right? To me, they're just a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned. An absolute no-brainer. So if we look at AVE, which is another DeFi I don't particularly like, plans to launch an institutional platform for cryptocurrencies. I don't know how they're going to do that with their fees and everything else, particularly if they're on Ethereum. I'm not a believer of that, to be honest. You're better off to go to Binance or something like that. Grayscale has been selling ETC. Doesn't surprise me. They were offloading 28,000 odd Ethereum Classic. Ethereum Classics had 3 hacks. That is something we would not be in, okay? We've seen 3 hacks with Thorchain, and we don't buy anything that's had a hack, okay? Like I said yesterday, if it got hacked, something we're in, and hopefully not. I've never been in a hack of anything, because I study everything, right? We would sell straight away, no doubt about that. Now, Binance aims to set up a number of regional headquarters around the world and will seek licenses wherever they are available, said Binance's CEO, Changpeng Zhao, okay? He said he's even open to putting on another CEO rather than himself with huge regulatory experience, okay, in the financial markets, right? In the fiat markets, and that's what he needs, okay? And I think he's right with this. This is what he needs to do. Obviously, he'll still run the helm of Binance, but he needs regulators that understand all this friggin' regulation, particularly in the fiat market, but also which way it's going to go in the cryptocurrency market. And I think that's a good story. Also, Binance has withdrawn the limit for you can withdraw money to Bitcoin. They've actually reduced that to 0.6 because if you haven't done out all your ID and everything else with Binance, know your client rules and everything else with your license, giving it to them and your passport and whatnot, you can only get 0.6. So make sure for every exchange you're on, people, make sure you fill out all your information, right? Because they all have to comply with Know Your Client rule, where the money comes from, the AML and Patriots Act, okay, and all that sort of thing, anti-money laundering and the US Patriot Act, okay? Also, Binance, which I think this is genius, is partnering with a Russian museum to tokenize artwork such as Da Vinci and Van Gogh's masterpieces. Now, what an idea. And you can see tokenization is going to go everywhere, okay? When you've got an incredibly expensive artwork, so worth millions and millions, tokenizing a bit of that artwork is just genius. They're just selling off a bit of the ownership with a token. And I think that is absolute genius, seriously. And Binance is everywhere. No wonder we invest in Binance. It is just a no-brainer. Every quarter, they reduce their supply by the profits they earn. And it's a mega business. They do 70% of crypto trading in the market as well as derivatives trading. I mean, it's just huge. And they have their own smart chain, their own blockchain, which is better than Ethereum's, right? Binance should be higher than Ethereum. Ethereum is too expensive for what it is, and it's bleeding, okay? Now, Celsius crypto lender has invested $54 billion in a Bitcoin miner core, and they've also invested in other miners, $200 million. Now, this is Celsius, the crypto lender, like Nexo. And that's a great story. You can see how much these lenders in crypto are making when they can afford to buy miners and go in another direction, right? That's a great story for Celsius. Now, Dash, even though I don't like Dash, and it's always been known as a privacy coin, they are trying to get it out of that ideology because, you know, they know privacy coins won't exist in a regulatory environment within the crypto land, okay? They know that with regulation, the governments will not accept things like Verge and Monero. That's a fact, or ZEC, right? Just having a cup of coffee, even though it's late. Dash was always known as a privacy coin, and they're trying to market themselves now that they're actually not a privacy coin, okay? And that makes a lot of sense. And now they've launched a retail consumer app for shopping apparently across America, where this app, you can get access to 155,000 store locations and use Dash. And you can also use it online with online retail, so another 125. Now, that's great for Dash, okay? It's great for the utility of their coin, and it's great for, them getting more clients. And that's the name of the game. If you want to stay in crypto, you got to have a solid business, people. Every coin has to have an underlying business or a token. And if it doesn't, it's going to die in the water. It can't pay its developers. It can't pay its technicians, right? You know, you just don't have a coin or token that should go up and there's no underlying business. And this is the problem with the crypto market, right? It's not looking at the underlying businesses. Everyone should have an underlying business. And if they don't, that coin or token should be worth zero, okay? Zero. Now, also there's another mining company going to an IPO in the equity market, and this is Stronghold. They use waste coal. They convert that to be able to use to make power to mine Bitcoin, which I think is quite fabulous. They're going to go to an IPO in the equity market for $100 million, and then they're going to obviously expand into crypto. This is very obvious what's happening here, people. Now, 1inch Foundation plans to distribute 10 million tokens to compensate for gas costs. Solana launches a hackathon in India to boost crypto as well as the Solana project and to increase the Indian developers in that area as well. India's a huge market, 1.3 billion and growing, people. Reddit did launch their token on Ethereum, Moons and Bricks, and apparently that did work very well. The Chinese are cracking down, as you know, and houbi and OKex, which we're invested in, and they're great exchanges, apparently have had to shut down their subsidiaries in China, right? China wants to control their digital yuan, and the way they can do that is control it with their own private ledger, and they can control their people, right? It's just that simple. They know exactly what their people are going to be doing if that happens, okay? Now, if we look at the social media, www, it was Crypto Blades, Wall Street Games, which interests me. I must have a look at that, Wall Street Games. Axie, which we know about, Axie Infinity, My DeFi Pet, Smooth Love Potion, which is part of Axie, Mist, and BNB. BNB I love. I like Axie, the game. It's very good, but whether I'd invest in Axie, it's too expensive, way too expensive. The Wall Street Games, I wouldn't mind having a look at. Luna Lush, Axie, Ava Gotch, Gochocus, The Sandbox, Hexflow, Hedera Hashgraph, Leon, something or other, Swap, Quant, and Tether. And don't forget, Tether's under an investigation, okay, by the US Attorney General, okay? That's going to put them in a lot of hot water. Now, if we look at the Bitcoin futures curve, spot Bitcoin, when I looked at this, was 37,486. It's actually higher. The curve's in contango, which is good. It went down 4% overnight. If we compare that to the Ethereum curve, the CME curve, the futures curve went down 6.8%. So Ethereum is underperforming Bitcoin even on the futures curve, okay? And if you look at the options, Bitcoin are long 52 million options. Ethereum is long 180 million options. And I believe Ethereum will be, people that are invested in Ethereum will be long and wrong. Ethereum, in my mind, it's just got so many problems, it's not funny. And once they go to EIP, Ethereum protocol, 1559, trying to reduce the miners' fees to zero, it's going to be absolutely big trouble for Ethereum, okay? Huge trouble, because the miners don't want to lose their revenue, right? They'll probably just walk away and go to another proof of work technology where they get higher miner fees. It's going to be an absolute debacle. So watch that in about 9 days' time when that's happening, okay? Also, if you look at Bitcoin shorts, they did rise a little bit to 1864, up like a percent. Ethereum shorts were up 2% at 102,344. And also XRP shorts declined 4.5% down to 2.82 mil, which has been the lowest for some time, okay? Volatility with selling off does go up slightly. Bitcoin volatility for 10 days is 76, 8 and 96, Ethereum 86, XRP 84, Binance 86. We do see volatility rise when the market sells off, okay? When the market gets bought, the volatility goes down. This is 10-day volatility, Litecoin at 85, okay? And if I look at my trading signals, bullish 465 versus 197. And that's why we've been buying crypto. But we have been buying crypto since the 2nd of July. And we had no crypto from the 12th of the 5th when we were selling our main holdings of crypto. And we made quite a lot of money, my clients and myself. Now, if we look at the equity market is all-time highs, but it is selling off today. It's down about 2%, the equity market. The VIX is rising. It's still very low. The VIX is at around 20. That's the volatility measure for the equity market, and it's extremely low. And if you look at the equity market option positions, generally in the future positions, they're all still long and wrong, I believe. They've got more call options in the market than anything else. In my mind, the US equity market is priced for perfection, okay? The Asian markets are all selling off quite dramatically, and yet the US equity market it's just got blinkers on. It just wants to buy everything it sees, right? And I just think they're going to be wrong. The market is way too expensive. It's not looking at anything else, and certainly in the past history, Asian markets, particularly the Chinese market, has taken the US market down, okay? Don't forget the Chinese are big investors in foreign markets, and they're starting to pull all that investment back to China, which means liquidating US stock. And this is why you've seen the US yen, the US currency, come down to 109.619, okay? Also, there's no, as I said, the interest rate curve is also priced for perfection. There's nothing priced in the futures. There's going to be a rate hike in the US soon, okay? Futures are not pricing in a rate hike, interest rate futures until December 22, and that's just too late. We've got stagflation, people, stagflation. House price in the US, the Schiller Heiss price index month on month was up 17%. So 17% more to buy a house in the US, right? From 15, still rising. They're expecting QT GDP growth in the US. That's going to be very interesting. Okay, very interesting. Durable goods were at 2.1% month on month. Consumer confidence is 129 versus 124. But the GDP figures are going to be big. You've got Eurozone CPI, US spending, and Canadian CPI, which is inflation, okay? Now, we also see inflation-linked bonds are negative, okay, 1.1%, and have performed 51 basis points because there is stagflation in the system, and it's seriously, seriously bad. We're seeing emerging market debt asset spreads blowing out. High yield spreads are starting to blow out. Chinese spreads are blowing out with Chinese stock aversion. And, you know, you're even seeing the MBS, it's mortgage-backed security spreads blowing out, okay? Plus funding rates, overnight funding rates are rising. And yet this US equity market doesn't seem to look at anything. It's retail focused and they just buy with their heads pinned back. And I do believe they'll be wrong, okay? Long and wrong in the US equity market, that's for sure. Interest rates in the US for 10-year bond, a 1.24 for a 10-year bond yield is just ridiculously low. And, you know, the risk in my mind is rates are going to rise and they're going to rise quicker than the market believes it, right? Now, in crypto market, we've had a big enough sell-off, okay? We might get a small sell-off, but it's a market to be bought. But in the equity market, you know, the indices have gone to just crazy levels, okay? Crazy levels. The Dow, 35,000. When back in 08, it got to a low of 5,500, and at its peak was 14,000. It's just nuts, right? And I think that's where the biggest risk is, people. So, excuse me, watch this market because obviously we've got some big data coming out this week. We've got also Ripple. It's going to be very interesting indeed. The equity market could go up because we've got the tech companies going, you know, reporting, Amazon and all the big ones, Facebook and everything. But, you know, I believe it's a market to be sold. I really do. I just cannot justify the equity market being up here either, people. So let's watch this market in the next couple of days. It's going to be very interesting to see what the Fed says tomorrow. I think it's 8 o'clock European time. It's going to be very interesting to see these other figures coming out, like gross domestic product. And this market is always very, very interesting, people. Anyway, guys and girls, thank you very much, my patrons, supporting me. And please, for the public that do listen to this, I'd really appreciate if you support me on the $5 one. Because it's not a lot of money to hear the whole podcast, okay? Honestly, really not. And that'll be starting from the 1st of August. So thank you very much for supporting my work. Susie, Crypto Granny. Thank you.